Hi, this is Pastor Eric, and I wanted to do a short devotion today since we weren't able to have our services. And as we've been talking about the city of Bethlehem, and we talked about the city of David being that city of Bethlehem last week, and we hope to talk about the house of bread next week. There's another story that I think we sometimes miss out and we forget around Christmas time, and that's the story of Ruth. See, Ruth has her own book in the Bible in the Old Testament. Even though she was a foreigner, a Moabite woman who was not of the Hebrew people, she married into the family of God. But her husband had died, and it made her destitute. She was poor, she didn't have anything. And so God uses her story as a powerful way to illustrate his redemptive power. See, God made provisions for Ruth many years ago that we can find in the book of Leviticus about how we should handle foreigners and how we should care for the poor and the widows and those that are outside that don't have much. See, on the fields, they were required to leave the edges of the field so that people could grain or pull or glean from those things that were left on the ground. They weren't supposed to take everything from the harvest because God was allowing that to be a way to provide welfare for people that needed it, that were destitute. And in the story of Ruth, you'll find that Ruth goes along to these properties and gleans from the field to get the excess so that she can provide food for herself and her mother-in-law. And through this story, we see this powerful redemption story of this man named Boaz who watches out for Ruth, understands her situation, respects her, values her, and allows her to be able to find safety on his property to glean from his fields, and end up having this romantic relationship with her and a great story of love that finds itself in the story. And so, because of this story, God uses Boaz to be able to provide for Ruth and Naomi, and that they're both blessed. And in the story of Ruth, chapter 4, I just want to read a few verses here. It says in verse 14, it says, "The woman said to Naomi, 'Praise be to the Lord, who this day has not left you without a guardian redeemer. May he become famous throughout Israel. He will renew your life and sustain your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you, who is better to you than 7 sons, has given this baby birth.'" And see, Obed is this baby that was born by Boaz or from Boaz and Ruth. And it is the father of Jesse, who Jesse is the father of King David. And so in the story, God uses this powerful illustration of his redemptive love for all of us, that he wants to rescue us, restore us, that he's looking out for us, that God has a plan and a purpose, that Naomi, who was very bitter because she had lost her son, she had lost her husbands, she had lost everything, is being redeemed. God's restoring her, that God had a plan for her. God had a plan for Ruth. And sometimes we can ask, God, do you have really a plan for me? Do you have a purpose for me? And yes, God has a plan and a purpose for each one of us. God loves you. God cares for you. God provides a way to provide things for us. We have to trust him. We have to understand he loves us. He cares for us. And the reason why this region in Bethlehem is so important is because God has demonstrated throughout the years of his redemptive power that God can be our Redeemer. He can be the one that rescues us. And that's what we see in the life of Jesus Christ being born in this city. It is this idea of being of the lineage of David, of being of the lineage of Ruth and Boaz, of being a part of that story of redemption that we find in the book of Ruth. Again, I would love to encourage you today to read that book and put it in the light and the idea of it being Christmas. And the gift that we're receiving in Jesus is that same story that we find in the book of Ruth. God can do amazing things if we allow him and trust him and hold on to him. So with that, please take a moment today to read the book of Ruth and find that redemptive story and think about the connection that this story has in this community of Bethlehem and the impact it's made throughout all the centuries that we've had this story to be that reminder of who Jesus is, why he came, who he is and God's heart, his plan and purpose for each one of us. I hope you have a good day. God bless you. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.